Hello everybody, this is Mr. Lu. Today I want to share a topic that is often mistaken by people that I'm a big property critic and doing property bashing again. I'm not. Today I want to talk about the topic that what can cause the Singapore property market to crash, and this is taken from an analysis of history and and doing a simple analysis. And this is also in response to people who wrote to me and say, Mr. Lu, I have this HDB right now, I have this condo right now, it's risen to so high. I'm so afraid that you will fall. Should I sell right now and cash in and move to a cheaper house and so on? Or should I take the belief that you'll continue to rise forever and things like that, right? So I'm going to give you my view. My view, of course, it's a view that is based on history and based on what I analyze. You can choose to believe or not to believe. Let's see, okay? Let's see. And if you agree, you can say you agree. If you disagree, you can say disagree. Again, there's no need to get emotional about it. Property is an emotional topic. I understand. But let's discuss, shall we? So, what can cause a property market to crash in Singapore? Let's take a look at history, shall we? Now, I was probably too young to take a look at 1985, 1986, that time when there was a big recession. But I was already quite grown up in 1997 Asia financial crisis. That was probably one of the first experience I have with a fierce property crash. In the 1997 crash, the prelude of that was there was a huge property bubble, right? There were lots of people queuing up. Condos were selling out. HDB queues were 5 years and 6 years. By the way, that looks familiar, right? And suddenly Asia financial crisis hit, and that got nothing to do with Singapore. Singapore wasn't a cause of it, but we are a recipient of the crisis. And guess what? Overnight, the queues of BTO, those days they got BTO, just HDB newly built, HDB queues for new flats, overnight vaporized. I didn't pull out fast enough, so from a 3-year wait, I suddenly had to take on my flat. So 1997 economic crisis was my first experience with a property crash, and the crash lasted for pretty long. Not only did the HDB crash as well, the condo crash. I can't remember whether the landed property crashed as much, but economic crash will cause a shock throughout the whole economy, including the property market. Of course, that eventually recovered, and the next time that experience repeated was in the 2008 financial crisis, the great financial crisis, and that sent a shockwave throughout the entire economy, and the property market crashed as well. That crash, however severe, it was very severe, okay? Didn't last that long. It lasted probably for to my experience, about a year or so, okay, before the rebound happened. But that was because by then the government was in a rush to rescue the economy. They used job credit scheme, and so a lot of measures to save jobs and things like that. Else it will be a repeat of 1997. Since then, even during the COVID crisis or so, the government was always in this rescue mode for the economy. So, and don't forget, in a 2020 COVID crash, the government came out and tell the banks to be very lenient in helping people to phase out their loans and things like that. So I think we've got the right formula to help people to cushion financial crisis. As a result, I think it's fair to say that unless we are hit with a prolonged economic crisis, okay, or so, economic crisis probably have some impact on property market, and it may send a shock wave, but usually the shock wave wouldn't last that long, unless it's a very prolonged financial crisis of some form. Don't forget that COVID crisis lasted for very long, and yet, due to all the factors, lack of supply and things like that, that actually cushioned the effect and eventually brought a mad inflation throughout because of the printing of money and shortage of houses and things like that. So economic crisis is the one that really can send shock wave to the economy and property market crash. The second is that government policies can cause property market to weaken. And actually, we are seeing that right now. The condo market, the private property market, has seen now some softening. That's largely because we have sent a lot of demand control measures, and also an increase in supply now. But that doesn't really crash the market. And it's my opinion that the Singapore government will not want to crash property markets, because that will send a shockwave throughout the economy, and this will cause a great loss of wealth and loss of votes as well. So the government will be very careful to do that. So I'm in the opinion that this is a measure the government will be very careful of, but a wrongly calibrated policy, right? Too much supply, or some government mistakes and things like that, that will cause property crash. But the government now tend to err on the side of safety. They rather allow mistakes to let the property market rise than to precipitate a property crash. So I think that part, Singapore should be quite safe. Okay. The next one or two points are kind of interlinked together. If we have a prolonged loss of hope of appreciation, then that will cause the property market to at least get stagnant, okay, and maybe even a crash. Now, for example, in 2017, Minister Lawrence Wong was then the National Development Minister, went out to make a statement that says that HDB flats, will eventually, go down, will go down to zero, right? And as a result, I quote him, okay? I quote him. Mr. Wong said that, and wait, by the way, this is the article. He says that don't assume all HDB flats will be eligible for selective en bloc redevelopment scheme. So essentially, what he's saying is that, and I quote the article. It basically says that, let me get it, okay? It basically says that for most flats, their lease will eventually run out and the flats will return to HDB, okay? So that was 2017. Of course, by now everybody forget about that statement already, because there's now exuberance in the market. And after that, guess what? The HDB flats literally get stagnant for quite some time. In fact, I'm trying to show you a graph here. The HDB after 2017 just literally stay flat for quite a few years, and so on, right? Nobody there to buy a resale flat. They're old, right? But of course now everybody have forgotten, and that's fine. That's something that we're right now in a property bull run. So but there was a loss of hope of appreciation that caused the market to stagnant now. Human are forgetful and short-lived in their memory, and that's fine, okay? But with this note, what the minister said is also important, okay? That eventually, I quote him. This is Minister Lawrence Wong. As the lease run down, especially towards the tail end, the flat prices will come down correspondingly. So when will the property market crash? Eventually it has to come down when the lease runs out. Okay, and that won't be immediately, but as the property runs out and as the age comes out, it will start to come down. And I don't know when that day would be, because it's difficult to judge demand and supply and human emotions. But that day will come. Okay, so if your flat is old, let's say 40, 50 years, 60 years, I don't know whether it's 60 years already, but maybe 40, 50 years. You should start thinking the possibility of that scenario painted by Mr. Lawrence Wong coming, right? That may not mean the whole property market will crash, but the fact that property market eventually will crash, and people start seeing their own eyes that will happen, then something may not happen. So when would that be? When would that day be? I don't know. Okay, but that day will likely come one day. Okay, one day, and then that will catalyze a shockwave to our whole market. Okay. But I think in the short term and in the mid term, we should not be seeing this thing happening. So just to sum up, economic crisis does cause property market to crash. Okay, but fortunately, the government is usually very fast to react to save jobs and things like that. So in that sense, the property market crash that is caused by economic crisis doesn't look so severe from the last one or two experience. A wrong calibrated government policy can cause property market to soften. Okay, but government is very careful to avoid such a situation. So we should not see this thing happening. So on. A prolonged loss of hope appreciation, is something that need to be precipitated by. Need to be provoked and started by something, right? And that's something I cannot anticipate, except through the realization that the aging of 99-year property, okay, is coming to pass, right? So if that were to happen, then there's a loss of hope appreciation. So I would just say that if I'm holding an old flat, and the price has gone up phenomenally, I would start thinking of changing to a new flat just in case. Okay, so in a nutshell, I don't see property market, crashing in a big way. So for those people who have been asking me, I think that the property market will be pretty stable. Even if it hit by something, will soften somewhat, but it will not be a big crash. But if you are holding on to an old HDB where everybody is in a huge belief that property market will rise forever, it's time maybe to consider passing on the flat to another sucker, right? So I would certainly not buy a old HDB flat. Some people will believe that they want that the flat will never fall. Good for them. Some people have this belief that the government will surely extend the lease and come up with some policy as well. Good for them. Let them believe what they want to believe. I choose not believe in imagination and hopes that I don't think there's any reason for me to believe in. Okay, it's a controversial view. No need to get upset. Okay, let's discuss this over the comments. If you think my comments are fair, if you want to hear more of some of this sort of thing, hit subscribe and like. Okay, I'll be coming out with a strong analysis of property versus equity soon. About 10 or so financial and Excel expert have helped me do separate modeling of this analysis in various scenarios. I'm very appreciative to them. The results have came out. All of them done the analysis separately. I don't know any of them. They are not paid to do it. Okay, so the conclusions seems very interesting, and the surprising thing, they are all about the same. Okay, and it surprises me as well, the results. Okay, far to my surprise me as well. So I'll be sharing with you soon. So hit subscribe if you want to know the results. Okay, and I'll put up the spreadsheet for everybody to take a look. Okay, so with this, thank you for following my channel, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Thank you, and have a nice day.